Hey guys, LootWizard here with another Soulforge video for Gems of War. We have a new legendary troop out this week, as well as, of course, we're going to go over all the stuff in the Forge, weapons, and troops, and then we're going to go over the event going on this week. So let's get right into it. We have in the Soulforge for weapons, there's nothing really here that's amazing until we get down toward the end. And we have the Doomed Axe, which is going to be my #1 recommendation for weapons to craft this week. This is among one of the best doomed weapons that you can craft. It will do damage to all enemies, and it will do extra damage here based on the tempering level. Mine is at 10 plus, which is the maximum. You can upgrade these weapons with scrolls that you get for doing the Doom events. It does need to be the color of the weapon. So for this, it would be a yellow scrolls. But yeah, these weapons are great because not only do they do spell damage to all enemies, but then they also convert a color of gem to Doom Skulls. Now this one converts purple gems to Doom Skulls. So I wouldn't consider this to be the best among the doomed weapons that do have this ability, but any of these weapons that do this are really great. This one, it only costs 900 diamonds, so it's 100 diamonds more than a legendary troop to get this, and I would say it is absolutely worth getting one of these. I have all of them, and if you're trying to collect them, now's the time to definitely get this one if you don't have it. And if it's your first doomed weapon, it's not a bad choice. So, the other weapon here I'll just give like an honorable mention to is the Crystal Axe. This weapon does some damage, and then it will also create a mix of 6 green and brown gems for each monster ally. So this weapon does work pretty good if you use the monster class and 3 other monster troops, because there's a few good monster troops out there. But I don't use it too often, but it is an okay weapon if you have a few of those good monster troops. I think even Arachneid Weaver, which is a pretty good mythic troop, is a monster, so that would probably work pretty good with that weapon. Moving on to troops here, let's take a quick look at Summoning Stones, see if there's anything in here. Toad Squeezer is really an event troop, but it does have some pretty good things going for it otherwise. It will gain an extra turn, as all goblin troops do, and then it either explodes 4 gems or it enchants all other allies. So, not a bad troop. Definitely, if you're into goblin teams, I would say try getting him. And for green, Apothecary is a great mana generator, but pretty easy to get outside of using these summoning stones. So I would skip that here. Yeah, not really seeing anything yet. And last one here for brown. Yeah, nothing really else in here that I can recommend in the summoning stones. So moving on to legendaries and mythic troops. We have Winter Imp, which is weird. We had the Love Imp last time, which made sense because of it being springtime. Winter Imp, I do not like the thought of Winter Imp because I want to be done with winter if I see another snowflake. It's just like, no, I'm done with winter. Anyway, talking about this troop, though, it is a good troop if you have Shabanu Vespera, because blue is one of the colors for that. And if you put Vespera in a team with like 2 of these or 3 of these, you can pretty much get a nice set of blue mana being generated, which will loop a lot. And then, of course, this troop is going to gain 8 magic whenever you match a blue gem, so it's going to increase this true scatter damage by a lot once you get a lot of that looping going. So Winter Imp might be worth it if you have something like Vespera, or if you're just into collecting these guys, might be a good time to pick one up. Other than that, with the other legendaries, we have the Infernal King, we have Soul Zara, and we have Nimue. Now, out of those, I would say that Nimue is probably the better one. Infernal King is okay, but it just has some weird... that converts green gems to skulls, brown gems to red, deals a little scatter damage. But we don't really have like any great like troops or classes that creates a leaf storm every single turn. So it's kind of hard to get yourself a lot of green gems on the board with a setup with this. It doesn't even take green here, but I don't know. I've just never really found the Infernal King to be as good as troops like Nimue. Now, Nimue, looking at this, it'll transform yellow gems to skulls and then red gems to purple. And then as a bonus, it will silence the two strongest enemies. Also, in its trait here, it will steal 4 life from the first enemy when matching green gems. So, Nimue is a pretty strong legendary troop. Soul Zara is not that great. It does triple damage based on if the enemy's life is greater. And, you know, it's kind of just a really weird troop to work with. So those are the legendaries. I would say I would go with Nimue as number 1. And then Winter Imp's kind of like an odd troop in the mix here. But I would say, I don't know, I'm just going to go with a tie for Winter Imp and Infernal King. And in last place would be Soul Zara. And that's if you would craft any of these this week, which I never really recommend crafting legendary troops because it's 800 diamonds and you can save up 4,000 diamonds and get yourself a mythic, really good one, which is going to be better. So let's move on here to mythics. And this week it's kind of weak for mythics in my opinion. We have Scorpius, we have World Breaker, we have Sick Rocks, and where's the other? Skady. There we go. Skady is the 4th one. So we have, let's go over these real quick. Scorpius deals 49 damage to the last 2 enemies, and the damage is lethal on any poisoned enemy. Now this is really, really great if you have a way to poison the enemy and you have a way to curse them if they're immune to poison. Otherwise, I mean, there is actually quite a few troops that are immune to poison in the game, and that's kind of a downside of this troop. It's really the hardest thing for this troop to deal with. So, but all brown allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of each turn. Not bad. It is a 28 mana cost, so it is on the higher end. I like to use Mountain Crusher with this one just so that it uses brown and it'll fill up really quick. And then just to poison something, if you have a troop that will poison all enemies on a 4 or 5 match, you put that with this troop and Mountain Crusher. You can get all the enemies poisoned pretty quick. And then, of course, if to really be good with it, you'd have to have something that would curse everything. So this is where Vash Dagon would come in pretty handy. It's a mythic troop. It has a really weird, bizarre Devour to it, but one thing it has in its traits is that it will curse an enemy when you match brown gems. So if you had a team like Mountain Crusher, Vash Dagon, Scorpius, and then your Raleigh, I know that's like 3 mythic troops there, so it's pretty mythic heavy team. But if you had that setup, you could pretty much guarantee that Scorpius is going to be as effective as it could be in its lethal damage. So there's that. World Breaker is a pretty darn good troop. I do like this one a lot. It is a 30 mana cost, but it will explode 18 gems on the board, which is the entire board. You're going to be getting a lot of mana generated once you get it powered up for the first time. It will deal 32 damage to all enemies. Of course, that is based on your current magic. But this is a really great troop, especially if you get it early on in the game, because the amount of gems that it explodes is not dictated by how much magic you have or the level of your account. So it will always explode 18 gems. If you get this troop early on, it will be a really great mana generator. You're still going to be doing the damage to all enemies, and it even has a way to increase the damage. It says it'll gain 5 to a random skill on a 4 or 5 gem match. So if you have a storm going, for example, and there's 2 classes that you could use for a storm with this. You have the Sunspear class, which will give you a firestorm for the red, and you also have the Stormcaller class, which will give you a light storm every turn, and you can really kind of maximize this trait down here, gaining 4 or 5 matches, and then you could increase the damage. There's a 1 in 4 chance that you could increase the damage of this troop with this final trait. So that's pretty good. Then we're going on to Skady. I don't know, in my opinion, Skady is not really that useful except for this right here. If you want to create an ice storm at the start of every single turn, which that's mainly what I use this troop for. However, it does have a freeze and mana burn. The first two enemies, it knocks them to the last position. It can summon a Queen Mab, which Queen Mab also has a mana freeze ability. And then we have Sycorax. Now, Sycorax is like a your generic troll, just amped up a little bit. It's a higher mana cost. It has 25 for its mana cost. It doubles a chosen color gem on the board, then create 3 more gems of that color. Give 26 life to all allies of that color. So it really is. It really is an amazing mana generator. One, you can double a chosen color of gem on the board, and then it creates 3 more of that color. So, you know, it's very rare that there's going to be any color that's less than, let's say, 10 gems on the board. Like, a lot of times you'll have as much as 15, 16, or more of one color. So you can almost guarantee an extra turn every time you cast this. And then it also, in its traits, it does allow all elementals to gain 1 and to attack and armor at the start of its turn. But yeah, as a mana generator, pretty good. But some of the trolls are, in some cases, better if you're using the Titan class because they can start with half mana and really makes a difference. So now how I would rank these for this week, it's going to be a little hard because these are all kind of like average mythics, and they're really good with certain troops or certain teams, but they're kind of just average mythics. Scorpius is probably the most dangerous of these if you can get it powered up quick enough. This 28 mana cost, and if the enemy is poisoned and they're not immune to poison, it'll lethally kill them. Last 2 enemies. So and then we have the World Breaker, Skady, Sycorax, and my opinion on mana generators is that they are kind of the weaker bunch in the game, just because you can never win the game with just a mana generator. You always need some kind of troop to attack, so I always see attack troops as more important than mana generators, even though mana generators are very important support troops because they allow your attack troops to power up quicker so you can actually do some damage. So I'm going to go with Scorpius as number 1 this week, World Breaker number 2, and then I'm going to go with Sycorax as 3, and then I'm going to go with Skady as 4. So that's the order in which I would craft these guys or place them, and as which ones are more important or more dangerous, I would say. So there you have it. That right there is my thoughts on that. And of course, Easter is coming up here, so they're trying to sell lots of packages. And then the last one there will be free. Collect my diamonds real quick there from the guild. Let's go over here to the shop and check out the weekly troop. I'm going to collect my resources here real quick because we're going to need to use some of these event keys for the new legendary troop. I haven't even looked to see what ability it has. But let's check out this troop here first. Ba'ir is the new epic troop for this week. Its ability, Constrict Prey. It will deal 35 damage to an enemy. If the enemy is a monster, entangle them. If they are a dragon, deal triple damage. So this is really kind of like an anti-dragon troop. And not surprising, it has deal double skull damage to dragons and double skull damage to monsters. So it's really an anti-dragon troop with the spell damage there and the extra skull damage. Now we're getting 2 arcane spirit trait stones this week for the cost of 400 glory. So that's a really good deal if you do have legendary troops or mythics or classes that need that trait stone. Now is a good time to purchase some. So now that we went over that troop there, let's go ahead and take a look at what this new legendary troop actually does, and then we're going to try to get it. So I'm going to go here, base rarity unowned, because I don't own it yet, but we will. And this is the legendary troop here. It's a 16 mana cost. It's Drifting Sands troop, elemental dragon. And I don't know how to say its name. Oberigonia? Oberigonia? I don't know. Probably butchered that, but I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. So its ability is called Needle Breath. It will deal 34 damage to all enemies and inflict bleed on them. Now, let's look at the traits. It'll gain 2 life on a 4 or 5 gem match. It deals 1 damage to all enemies when I match skulls. And then it will bleed a random enemy when matching green gems. So if there's a troop, I haven't looked to see if there's any troops that came out that can do extra damage to troops that are bleeding. Or if they ever release a troop like Scorpius that we just looked at that deals lethal damage to bleeding enemies, would be like a really powerful troop. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, because we've had bleed as a feature or component or whatever you want to call it on troops for, I want to say, at least a year now. So I don't know. That's an idea for the developers. Make a Scorpius except lethal damage on bleeding enemies instead of poisoned enemies. That would be a pretty good troop. So yeah, it's not amazing, but 34 damage to all enemies, and then it's got this interesting deal 1 damage to all enemies when you match skulls. And it's got the bleed on green. Yeah, let's go see if we can get it. So I think I got enough event keys, almost 1,800. I'm going to go open these 50 at a time. And by the way, you're only going to get this new legendary in event keys this week. So you got to use your event keys to try to get it. And I got the 2 Saguaro. Let's open another 50. And we got 2 of them. Look at that. I usually have pretty good luck with legendary troops. So there we go. We got it. Nice. That's all I need to open. I got it out of 100 event keys. Pretty nice. So yeah, it wants me to pay $15 to upgrade it and whatever, but we got enough stuff to do that. Let's go check out the event. It's called Buried Treasure. And I already did a couple little battles here, but let's go into the shop. I still don't know yet because I didn't purchase anything here in the shop. I want to see, are we supposed to focus on spell damage or skull damage or both? That right there is what I want to find out. And here we go. We should have the medal of omens. So we got to go equip this little medal, this guy, and it's 160% skull and spell damage. So we have the liberty of making a team based on skulls or spells. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We're going to take a look at troops first. And we do have Scorpius, so if you had a way to poison in here, you could also use Scorpius to do some really serious damage. But, yeah, I don't know if there really is a way here. But anyway, Queen Beatrix, we can focus on spell damage. Queen Beatrix is amazing because it's a mana generator, creates 9 green and 9 brown gems, but it deals 80 true scatter damage, has independent 40% chances, gain an extra turn, and half its mana back. It also cleanses all allies matching 4 or more gems. This is a really, really good legendary troop. So I do recommend trying to get this one. You can get it down in the underworld and the deep hive. You just have to have some portal shards. Go down there and try to get this troop because it is really amazing. But now we also have this troop that we just got, this new legendary, and we can go ahead and upgrade this guy to its maximum. And then we could add this guy in here too for that red color. And it looks like we have some decent troops to choose from here. You do have the Great Maw, which is going to devour. Queen Beatrix is probably my #1 choice. This new legendary troop is pretty good too. And Shabanu Vespera could be used somehow, but might not be the best choice because there's probably not too much here we can loop with. But at least we have troops here that can actually do some spell damage. Sandrunner might be a decent troop for some people. Deals some spell damage there. We got Trihorn, Rock Spirit. And this is going to do damage to all enemies. The Moth Mage. So that's another decent one. But yeah, we got, at least for like legendaries, we got a couple of good ones. Queen Beatrix, this new legendary. Saguaro is going to do damage to the 2 weakest enemies. Yeah, not bad. So then for weapons, probably the 2 best ones are the Doomed Axe, which is craftable in the Forge this week. And then we have the Dancing Daggers weapon, which deals damage to all enemies. That is going to be the class weapon for the Dervish, I believe, which is the monster class. So yeah, overall not bad here. Got a couple of good weapons. And so yeah, something like this. Queen Beatrix though is definitely going to be like my go-to troop. I'll probably, whatever team that I do end up with later on. That was that little Roadrunner thing. Forget what it's called. Sand Runner. Yep, Sand Runner. So remember, we're doing 160% spell damage. And the same thing goes for skulls. Even though I didn't really see too many troops that create skulls. We can create skulls with our weapon. But and yeah, we're still pretty low here in these rooms. Now I'm up to a level 40. I did a couple of battles earlier on when I was at break at work because I kind of wanted to see what troops we could have available. But when I saw Queen Beatrix in there, I was like, oh yeah, definitely, we're going to use that. And we got the Doomed Axe, which is going to convert purple gems into Doom Skulls. And with the metal this week, we actually get 160% of both skull and spell. And see, like, I really don't know why they don't have that metal for every single week. Like, it would just make things really simple. That way we would never have a situation where, oh, we have 160% of skull damage, and then we don't have a weapon, we don't have a troop that creates skulls. Like, it really makes you wonder, you know, what they're thinking. Or that's maybe they're not thinking at all. Maybe that's the problem. But yeah, so we'll do another battle here. But yeah, it's I'm pretty confident that everybody can make a pretty good team this week with what's available here. You know, we don't have a huge selection of weapons, but at least there is that class weapon, which is available for really everybody. You just have to equip that class and win like 250 battles, I believe, with that class, and then you'll get that class weapon. And like I said, Queen Beatrix, even outside of this event, is definitely worth getting, and you can get it down in the Deep Hive. So that's all I have for you guys in this Soulforge video. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I love you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later.